All right, let's get into this, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome after a very interesting second half of that Thursday night football game. Did I anticipate it to get into a scenario in which we would have an actual competitive game and a lot more fantasy points scored after that first half? Absolutely not. But my goodness, did the Pittsburgh Steelers come out and fire on all cylinders in the second half? Luckily, we were able to get into a pretty good position. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for being here. Second of all, I want to go ahead and, like many of you have told me in the chat, I did hear, unfortunately, of Demaryius Thomas passing away at the young age of 33 years old. Extremely unfortunate news. Regardless of how it happened, thoughts and prayers to his family, condolences. It is super unfortunate, especially such a young guy. I mean, wow, it's actually just, it's crazy. But hey, typically when things like this happen, you got to appreciate the time that we had with Demaryius Thomas, the impact that he may have made on our lives, specifically via fantasy. We're glad we had that experience rather than not. And it is what it is. Unfortunate. But either way, thank you guys for coming out today. We're going to be talking some fantasy until, I'd say, probably 10 p.m., a little bit maybe later, my standard time, PST, in regards to, of course, Week 14, trying to help you guys win some contests and, of course, get you guys ready to make the playoffs and make a push for your 2021 Fantasy Football Championships. Let's see here. Okay, so really quickly, first and foremost, after we've gotten through that, Drake says Tebow's throw across the middle of the field. Yeah, I heard that. Well, back in the day, what was that? It was the first round divisional or wild card matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm fairly certain that play was an illegal formation on the offense as well. So that play shouldn't have ever happened, but hey, it did for some reason. Yeah, it's crazy. Couple things that I wanted to note. If in fact, because I have read it in the chat a couple times, some of you said that you played Alexander Mattison today. I did try to, so after I recorded today's videos, I was given information that yes, he was going to be active. So what I went ahead and did is in the comment section of today's video, I posted a pinned message on the top saying I'm going to play Dalvin Cook because you have to play Dalvin Cook. And then I messaged everyone via the Discord server. So, I mean, I don't tweet often. I don't really send out much, but hopefully those of you who are, in the loop in those sections could have seen that and played him and made sure to get to go. Again, as soon as, Cook is active, Mattison, we all know what happens to him. He goes back to being the backup running back, and my goodness, it was a one-sided affair in regards to Cooks just completely taken over. All right, so a couple questions have been sent in already. I'm going to go ahead and, just start firing away, trying to help you guys out as much as I possibly can. Link's handler in the chat was saying, tell me you're covering Week 18. I am covering Week 18. I apologize to you in advance because, Week 18 is not going to be a fun one, especially if there are teams that have already clinched a playoff spot in the National Football League and they're not going to be playing their stars. It's going to be tough to figure out exactly what's going to go on. But yeah, I cover until Week 18. I'm even going to have some fantasy football content for the NFL playoffs, and mainly that'll be via Underdog Fantasy. If you guys haven't checked them out, you can use promo code Andrew today. There's a link down in the description. Earlier today, I, of course, participated in the Thursday night contest. Imagine this. I had a team in which I had Justin Jefferson, Deontay Johnson, Dalvin Cook, and Ray McLeod. That was my 4 players that I had on my singular roster. Okay. Unfortunately, I still got like 600th place. Okay, I got $16 out of a $5 buy or $10 buy-in, but dude, I think I was in 5th place earlier today at the beginning of that game, and in the second half just gutted me. I was literally in 6th place early in that second quarter, but hey, it is what it is. Either way, yes, I am covering till Week 18. All right, so Jesse sent in a message, says Guyton or Gallup? All right, that's a fantastic question. So really quickly, just want to reiterate the entire Chargers receiving core situation if you guys didn't hear my thoughts on the wide receiver video yesterday. So I'll go ahead and reiterate some of those points. Currently, Keenan Allen tested positive. So he is vaccinated. So all he needs is 2 negative tests consecutively to play on Sunday. Very possible that he can do that. Mike Williams was a close contact. Now, he is not vaccinated. Therefore, typically, if you were to test positive and you did not have the vaccination, you would be out for a minimum of 10 days. But he was a close contact, so the protocol is different. Therefore, Mike Williams has a possibility in the next 5 days, if he's able to test negatively twice in a row, then he will be eligible to play as well. Now, if both of these receivers for the Los Angeles Chargers are not able to play on Sunday against the New York Giants, then Jalen Guyton is by far and away the best overall prospect there. And Jesse, my suggestion would be to play Jalen Guyton. But again, it is really going to come down to whether or not we end up seeing this team have their receivers. So we're just going to have to figure it out, wait and see. But for right now, I would say, yeah, we're anticipating maybe one of them to miss. We'll see what happens. If they do, Jalen Guyton probably the way to go, considering Amari Cooper will be back and kind of stealing some of Michael Gallup's overall opportunity this week. Another question that was sent in via donation. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Parker says, how's it going, bro? Crazy Thursday Night Football. Absolutely insane. The only players that really didn't play well overall, it's probably just Conklin, right? That's the only person, because Deontay at least surpassed 10 points. Claypool was fine. Jefferson was fine. Osborne was great. Freiermuth was great. Madison and Najee Harris got their jobs done. Kirk Cousins was fine. Ben Roethlisberger was fine. It was literally just Conklin that disappeared in that contest. Either way, someone offered me a trade. I have to give Elijah Mitchell and Elijah Moore, and he gives me Mixon and Pirine. I have Kupp and Adams. Good question. So at this point, I don't. Okay, so if you're never going to play Elijah Moore in your flex position and you're just trying to improve your singular, starting running back, then I think it's a perfectly fine trade. This entire offense for the Cincinnati Bengals have shifted their direction purely into running the ball consistently. So that's probably what we're going to continue to see as the weeks progress here. Mixon's been on fire late here. I know he's dealing with, a bit of a questionable tag this week, but I still think going forward, if you're not going to use Elijah Moore as a starting wide receiver or in the flex because you have a significantly better option, then I think this is a major upgrade for your team going into the playoffs. Thank you very much, Parker. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. What do we have in this chat? I'm going to scroll up a little bit, then I'll go ahead and begin to scroll down in that regard. Ryu Ken says, Dalvin Cook just ran me into the playoffs. Yeah, dude. Whew. His first half performance ran us into the playoffs, which is, I love it. I love football for this reason. Games like that, when it's higher scoring, it is so much significantly more enjoyable to watch, especially for fantasy. This season has been so brutal because it has been such a downslide in comparison to 2020. 2020 was the highest scoring season in NFL history, and now that we've kind of gone back to being, I guess, less active in terms of scoring touchdowns and getting yardage, it's been tough to watch some of these games. Some of these weeks have just been brutal, where every team in your respective league isn't even able to meet their overall projection, much less have, decent performances. So yeah, it's been tough, but I'm glad to see another one of these pop-off games earlier today. All right, let's see here. A couple questions being sent in. Dusan says, Myles Gaskin or Miles Sanders, rest of the year, full PPR, 12 teams. I'd probably say you're better off. My only concern with Myles Gaskin isn't My only concern with Miles Sanders isn't Sanders himself. It's Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, it's Jordan Howard, and it's Jalen Hurts. That's my only concern in that regard. So for right now, I'd probably say Gaskin for the rest of the year. Let's see here. SB Devo said, had Dalvin plus Claypool in a must-win matchup. So far, so good. Hope Keenan Allen is ready for Sunday, but if not, Julio or Guyton. Again, if in fact there is no Keenan Allen, potentially no Mike Williams, I would play Jalen Guyton 100%. And luckily for us, he's coming off of a week in which he had 4 catches, 90 yards, and he mossed someone in the end zone for a touchdown. So that's always nice to see. Gives us a little bit more confidence in potentially rolling there. Tony says, on the other hand, I had Najee in my other league. Bless, yeah. Luckily he was able to turn it on. Because, dude, in the first half, even in the beginning of the second half, Najee Harris is awful at pass blocking. Some of his decision-making is just completely awful. It's just... he needs to, I know he's a rookie, but he needs to learn, dude, because it is really bad when he's jumping to the opposite B gap when there's a guy literally blitzing in front of his face. He's just not even looking in that direction. I understand their protections schemes, have him going to that side, but he's got to be able to just keep his head on a swivel and pick those guys up. Let's see here. Alex F says thoughts on Jeff Wilson. He seems to be the front runner. I mean, look, he's still dealing with an injury himself. So I guess we're just waiting to see what the practice report looks like by Friday, and that's really going to give us an indication as to who is going to be the starter for the San Francisco 49ers. And don't get me wrong, we certainly want to play the starter of the 49ers this weekend because against the Cincinnati Bengals, they're one of the easier matchups via the running back position. You can find a lot of value there, so we'll just have to wait and see what the practice report looks like. But Jeff Wilson, JaMychal Hasty, they seem to be a tandem that could both end up providing great fantasy boosts this weekend if Elijah Mitchell is going to be missing this weekend's game against Cincinnati. Bet on You says, is Hilliard a decent enough spot for my RB2? I mean, look, it purely depends on what is available. I know Jeremy McNichols could be back this week. It's a matter of whether or not he's going to be active and whether or not Hilliard is going to maintain his overall kind of role in this offense. There's a lot of questions, regarding that. We'll kind of have to figure it out as the week goes on and see if whether or not McNichols is even active. Let's see here. A couple more things. Hey, Andrew, would you who should I play? Gallup or Lindsey? Hey, Andrew, who should I play in a full PPR, Gallup or Lindsey? Lindsey, what do you mean by Lindsey? Like Philip Lindsey? Because Philip Lindsey is on a bye week because he's on the Dolphins. So I don't know what we mean by Lindsey. Either way, let me scroll down to the bottom because I know there's more questions. I know Jesse sent in another donation, said one more, Russell Wilson or Taysom Hill this week. I would play Taysom Hill against the New York Jets. Should be good to go. Okay. Alrighty, what do we got? Let me scroll back up here a little bit. Okay, a couple people want to get banned. That's perfectly fine by me. I don't mind handing out a couple ban hammers if we need to, I guess. If you guys could, just don't spam questions. We'll get there eventually, okay? So just don't worry. Eventually, we're going to get there, all right? I got a lot of time, and I will try to answer every question I possibly can today, okay? All right, a couple more questions. Let's see here. We have Najee clutched. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so any updates on A.J. Brown rest of season? This is from Michael Schumacher. Only other receivers are Devonta, Mike Williams, and OBJ. If he's out for the rest of the season, who should I start at my wide receiver to? Well, who you're starting as a wide receiver to is a week-to-week basis going forward. But he should be back after his injured reserve stint. Again, injured reserve is 3 weeks. So I think he'll probably come back in 1 to 2 weeks here. He'll be designated to return. So that'll either make him eligible potentially for week 15 or 16. We'll just have to wait and see what his progress looks like. There's a reason why he went to the injured reserve. They didn't expect him to be healthy. They wanted to make sure that he was good to go for their NFL playoff push there. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that all transpires. Let's see here. A couple more questions sent in via donations. Paul says, full PPR, Bills defense, Patriots defense, rest of the season, can only have one. All right, let's go look at their upcoming schedules. Let's look up Bills schedule, and let's look up the Patriots schedule. All right, so who do we prefer rest of season? Weeks 15, 16, and 17. So weeks 15, 16, 17, Bills get the Patriots. Then the Patriots get the Colts, Bills, and Jaguars. Okay. And then the Bills, on the other hand, they get the Panthers, Patriots, and then Falcons. I'll take the Bills rest of season defense. I'll take them rest of season. I mean, I would love to have both on my roster just in case something's to happen. But hey, if I'm only picking one, I'll take the Bills rest of season. Let's see, another question. Andrew Pacina sends in. Thank you very much. Appreciate the donation. Says, should I pick up J.D. McKissick off the waivers? ? Full PPR and drop Chargers defense since I'm already in the playoffs. McKissick has been good in matchups in the playoffs. Also, Muth over Hawk rest of season. I mean, I've had Muth over Hawk in my rankings for like the last 4 or 5 weeks here. So I've already kind of had that in my mind rest of season. I prefer Muth. As for Gage or Cook's rest of season, that is a toss-up as to whether or not Matt Ryan continues to deliver targets in his direction, because I do prefer Matt Ryan over Davis Mills. in that regard. So yeah, it would probably be Gage if he continues to get this kind of opportunity, of course. But yeah, I don't mind picking up J.D. McKissic. If you're going to drop the Chargers defense because you're already in the playoffs and you're not going to need them this week against the Giants, then by all means, you should go ahead and do that. All right, so let's see. Let me scroll back up. Someone asks, Kittle or Javonte Williams in a PPR? I'm pretty sure Melvin Gordon's playing this week, so that does make it a little bit difficult to play Javonte Williams in that regard. And if Debo's out, I probably want to play Kittle. Hilliard or Foreman, Andrew? I'd probably play Foreman. I'm anticipating him to be the starter, and then Hilliard to pick up third down opportunities and a couple rushing attempts throughout the game. But yeah, I do expect Foreman to be the main guy in that backfield going forward. Gallup or Jarvis Landry? Currently, I have Jarvis Landry ahead of Gallup, and that's where I would go, similar to the way that I had it in my wide receiver video yesterday. Mike says, Hasty or Herbert, better stash for this week. For this week alone, I'm going to assume that Hasty's the better stash. I think David Montgomery will end up playing this weekend in comparison to Elijah Mitchell, who's not only dealing with the concussion protocol, but also the knee injury. When you have two factors like that, and the fact that the 49ers are currently in the playoff hunt, they're currently a wild card team, I think 6-6. They're the final wild card team in the NFC. They don't really technically need to push Elijah Mitchell to play this week. I think they can go ahead and rest him, make sure that he is healthy for the games ahead, because it becomes that much more important to pick up W's in weeks, 15 through 18 for the 49ers. So I'm going to assume that Hasty's probably the better pickup there. Silver Soul says Demaryius Thomas passed away. Yeah, I talked about it at the beginning of the stream. It is extremely unfortunate. RIP to Demaryius Thomas. Hearts out to his family. Condolences. It's extremely unfortunate considering, again, only 33 years old. That's crazy. Like I was mentioning to people when the stream started, when things like this happen, we have to just appreciate the time that we had with these people and the impact that they made on our lives. Going back, for me personally, right? Like the only main impact Demaryius Thomas has made on me is that 2013 year where, I think he was the number one wide receiver in fantasy. He just absolutely dominated when Peyton Manning went for 50 touchdowns. The guy was a monster of a receiver, a great guy from all marks, from everything that I've seen. Just super unfortunate that he passed away. And yeah, our hearts go out to him and his family. Super unfortunate. Let's see here. What do you think about Mixon and Kamara this week? I think Kamara is a fantastic play. He's practiced fully all week long. He takes on the Jets. Mark Ingram is on the injured COVID list. So, it's all Kamara all day. As for Mixon, let's see if he ends up playing. You probably want to have Samaje Perine on roster just in case, guys, if you have Mixon. Or maybe you need a running back and you want to just go ahead and have Samaje there just in case by Sunday we get Mixon out. We could have a 12-plus point running back as a flex option there or a starter. Stock Strategy sent in a donation. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Says, who do I start from my wideouts this week? We have Debo, T. Higgins, Mike Evans, full PPR. Listen, my anticipation is that Debo is not going to play. I know many people commented down below in yesterday's wide receiver video in regards to where is Debo Samuel, Andrew. The reason I didn't have them there is because I truly don't expect him to play. He's dealing with a groin injury. The initial, diagnosis as to how long that injury was going to take to recover was probably going to be 2 to 3 weeks. He's only spent 1 week out. I think there's a very good chance that he once again does not play this week. He didn't practice Wednesday or earlier today, Thursday. And even if he's limited on Friday, there's no guarantee that he's going to end up playing. So I'd go ahead. I'd play T. Higgins. I'd play Mike Evans. They're two of my top 13 wide receivers this week. If T. Higgins isn't healthy, then we'll have a conversation on Sunday morning. But for right now, yeah, you're playing Higgins and Evans. Zach Craig says, thoughts on trading Aaron Jones for Higgins and Elijah Moore, half PPR. I'm 8-5. If you don't need a running back and you really do need wide receiver help, I don't mind that because, again, Elijah Moore is going to be the number one for the Jets going forward. T. Higgins has kind of exploded onto the scene and pretty much made Jamar Chase look like an afterthought in that offense as of the last couple of weeks. So I don't mind the idea. You just have to really not need running back because Aaron Jones is a huge upgrade in comparison to a lot of other guys in the league. And when it's so difficult to have stud running backs on roster, especially late in the season when so many injuries are plaguing our teams, it may be difficult to go ahead and replace him, especially when you're trading him away and not getting a running back in return. Chris Cinder says, let's go back. Let me scroll back up here. I'm going to scroll back. Okay. He says, okay. Andrew, really appreciate everything you do. I write 2 funny hype articles on Fantasy League every week, and I find it to be enough of a commitment. You're seriously out doing it. Yeah, listen, dude, I appreciate that. This right here, what I do on a weekly basis for fantasy football, I mean, I love it, right? So it doesn't feel like a job, but it is. I mean, this is what I do every day, all day. And after this, I'll probably go and I'll start watching film from tonight's game. I'm going to go watch it back just so I can see the defenses and an expanded level. Because I have the NFL Game Pass and it has the sideline cam, so I can see what those safeties are doing, what kind of coverage they're sitting in, what the heck happened to Justin Jefferson in that second half. I'm pretty sure they were probably double covering him the entire game, but either way. Thank you very much, Krish. I appreciate those kind words. All right. Let's see here. Let me scroll down. Little Boy Blue sent in a donation. I appreciate that. Says, good evening, Andrew. Who do you like for the fantasy playoffs? Miami's defense or the New Orleans Saints? All right, let's go ahead and let's look at their schedules. Here we go. Dolphins schedule or perhaps the Saints. Let's look up Saints here. All right, so who do we have playing who? Okay, so in the next 3 weeks, the Dolphins have the Jets, they have the Saints, and they have the Titans. While the Saints, on the other hand, will have to take on Tom Brady, then the Dolphins, and the Panthers. Okay, I think that it's probably better to have Miami, based purely off of Week 15's matchup against the Jets. I want to have the Miami defense against the Jets in the first week of my playoffs to guarantee that I'm getting points instead of playing the Saints defense against Tampa Bay. You know, Brady's got, I understand they lost to the Saints earlier this season, but listen, Brady's going to figure it out. He'll be better off for it. And I think I'd rather just have the Miami defense, especially considering they have just been hot as of late, completely tearing apart defenses. I'll take Miami rest of season. Thank you. Corey Olson sends in a question, says, hey friend, CEH, Aaron Jones, Jerry Jeudy, Julio Jones for the flex this week. Look, if we're in a scenario in which Aaron Jones is a full participant in practice this week, then by all means, he is automatically starting in my lineup. It's the same kind of idea of Dalvin Cook today. If he practices fully, then we're good to go. And that's what Dalvin did. He practiced. And even, I mean, this wasn't information privy to us on Monday, but from watching the game, Aaron Andrews on the sideline was saying that he was lifting weights on Monday. Like, if I had known that this man was power cleaning 375 in the weight room with that busted shoulder on Monday, I, of course, would have had him as my number 2 running back on the week instead of Alexander Mattison. But I knew somebody from that backfield was going to go off, right? But yeah, as of right now, if Aaron Jones healthy, we're going Aaron Jones. If he's not, then the next best option probably in this regard is Clyde Edwards-Helaire against the Las Vegas Raiders defense. Richie Boy sends in a question, says, A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones this week? Am I crazy to start them both? I have Jamal Williams on the bench. Are you crazy to start them both? I don't think you technically are, no. I don't mind starting both. You just have to understand that when Aaron Jones comes back, this backfield is going to immediately transition back to what it was when Aaron Jones was fully healthy. So A.J. Dillon is going to be subjugated or kind of altered back down to getting the ball maybe 8 to 10 times a game. He's not going to be, 20 touches a game. I don't think that's going to persist any longer with Aaron Jones in the backfield because they know Aaron Jones is the more dynamic running back of the two. So my anticipation would probably be Aaron Jones being the full-time guy. I'd play Jones, and I'd probably play Jamal Williams. I think it wouldn't be crazy to play A.J. Dillon, but at this point, I think I want to play both starting running backs. Let's see here. Nick sends in a question, says, start Gibson, Monty, J-Rob, Sony, or CEH. All right, so again, a lot of these answers could change by Sunday morning. Do not forget, every Sunday morning here on the channel, I go ahead and I live stream from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I will have updated rankings on screen to make sure that we're good to go. So if you guys are interested, make sure to come on by. But in terms of who you're starting out of those players, I don't know how many you're starting, but I'm looking at the list and I'm for sure playing Antonio Gibson without a doubt in my mind. If David Montgomery's healthy, I'm playing him. But the only person that I would potentially play over David Montgomery is if Darrell Henderson is out and Sony Michel's a starter, I would play Sony Michel and Gibson over David Montgomery Gibson. So that would basically be the only other thing at this moment. Thank you. Let's see here. Satoshi sends in a question, says, big win, NFL/NBA parlay tonight. Feeling good. Appreciate all the work that you do. I've been trying underdog and I've been loving it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Again, guys, if you use promo code Andrew, it really does support me a lot. Like, I mean, I'm not even kidding. It does make a huge difference in terms of keeping these lights on, how bright they are. My goodness. But yeah, I appreciate that. I think earlier today, let's see here. Where was my team at? I mean, I thought I had myself a good roster. I mean, I could have swore that everything was looking good. And then everybody started scoring in the second half. Like, let me show you guys. You see, oh, come on. Focus. Oh, it's not going to focus, damn it. So I had Justin Jefferson, 17 points, Deontay Johnson, 12.8, Dalvin Cook at 34.7, and then Ray McLeod. And I still got 652nd place. How? I don't know. Somebody's got to have had, like, James Washington. I think that was the biggest difference. Like, having James Washington in that final flex spot, probably the biggest difference maker. But yeah, if you guys want to check out Underdog Fantasy, there's a link down in the description. Use promo code Andrew. Underdog Fantasy is willing to match up to $100 of your first deposit. I'm going to go ahead and draft some teams later today during the stream. But for right now, just want to answer questions, try to keep up with you guys, and help you guys out going into week 14. All right, so thank you very much, Satoshi. I appreciate that. Stock Strategy says, forgot to say Adam as my wide receiver 1. Do I start Mike Evans or Saquon in the flex? I'll put Higgins at wide receiver 2. This is the last game of our second round of the playoffs. Wow, okay, interesting. I don't know why you guys are playing playoffs this early, considering there are teams that are still on bye. That is probably the dumbest thing that I've seen in a while. But hey, it is what it is. It seems like no championship team is going to have Jonathan Taylor on it. So at this moment, if you have Devontae Adams as one of your wide receivers, and then you have Mike Evans as... Oh, okay. So this is what I would do, Stock Strategies. I would play Mike Evans as your wide receiver 2, and I would play Higgins in your flex because you don't know if Higgins is going to play or not, right? And I don't know what time his game starts, but you want to probably have him in the flex so that you have the ability to swap him out with another player. We'll see by Sunday. But for right now, I would play Higgins over Saquon, considering it's Mike Glennon-led offense. So I'm still playing Evans and Higgins. Garrett Cross sends in a question, says, Stafford Herbert this week. I would most likely play Herbert if, in fact, both or one of his pieces are healthy. If Keenan Allen or Mike Williams are active, I'm playing Herbert. If they're both out, I would then just pivot back to Stafford. You're good to go. As for your second question, Mooney or Renfro? Renfro's been insane. He's had 14 plus fantasy points and a half PPR in 5 out of the last 6 games. He has been a machine, and that's why I had him so highly ranked this week. So yeah, I would go Renfro. And then your final question, Garrett, was Hunt or Coleman? Yeah, I don't want to play Coleman against the New Orleans Saints. They are the best, or one of the best, run-stopping defenses in the National Football League. So yeah, I mean, at this point, you're for sure playing Kareem Hunt. WX11 says Sony Michel or Dontrell Hilliard. It depends on whether or not Darrell Henderson's playing. We'll know by tomorrow's practice report, and Sunday, even before Sunday, probably by Saturday, we'll have a better indication as to whether or not Darrell Henderson is playing. And if he is, then of course you would pivot to Hilliard. Otherwise, you play Sony. Thank you. All right, let's go back to this chat. My team moved to first place this week. Thank you, Angie. No problem, Pearl. I'm glad to help as much as I possibly can, guys. That's the goal, man. I want to help you guys win. I've been doing it for the last couple years. Want to continue to just bring in as many W's as I possibly can for you guys. Corey Olson says, have Connor. Want to play him over CEH? Yeah, I would play Connor over CEH for sure. Connor's a touchdown machine. He has 14 this year, if I'm not mistaken. Chris, very true. Yeah, we gotta. I mean, it's crazy. Yes, I mean, R.I.P. Demaryius Thomas once again, 33 years old. We gotta, appreciate the life that we have. I mean, do not take it for granted. That is, I mean, if that's the reality check that we need, then yeah, absolutely. We got to appreciate the time that we have here and take full advantage of it every single day. You got to win the day. I mean, you got to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, did you do enough today? Did you improve? Did you, do what you wanted to do in life? And, kind of approach the next day trying to either fix that or maintain that. I don't want to go on to a spiel of of inspirational things, but I could if I wanted to. I've got those in my back pocket for sure. But either way, yeah, it's unfortunate. Big Moose says, Gibson or Mitchell if he plays. Dalvin gave me 35 points tonight. Yeah, Dalvin. Woo, I love Dalvin Cook, man. Gosh, I love it. Dude, I mean, look, when you see Dalvin Cook run, dude, it looks like he's legitimately, I don't know if you guys have ever played Mario Kart. He's literally hitting the speed booster on the ground as soon as he touches the ball. Like, he sends it into, he goes from first gear to fourth gear immediately. Then as soon as he gets to the linebacker level, this guy's in seventh gear and he's going. And he's not being slowed down. The only thing slowing him down if he's got to run over somebody. That's it. And people have got to take a hit from him. But yeah, he's insane. As for your first question, Big Moose, I would play Gibson. Gibson has a great track record against the Dallas Cowboys defense. And even if Mitchell plays, I think Gibson is probably the better way to go. Considering Mitchell is dealing with the knee injury, there's a very good possibility that he may be splitting some carries here and there. They've been really putting it on him. They've given him 25 total touches per game for the last 3 games that he's participated in. So they're probably rearing him down a little bit. So yeah, Gibby is my suggestion. Again, last year in the 2 games that he played against Dallas, both games, he was able to get over 100 rushing yards. He had a total of 4 touchdowns in the 2 contests and had himself over 10 receptions in those 2 contests. A lot of potential for Gibson this week. I'm loving that he's finally getting off, that lower end RB2 conversation late in the season, getting back to where he was last year. Satoshi says, how many leagues are you in, Andrew? Just curious. I currently play in 13 redraft leagues. I got 1 dynasty league, and that's basically it. But in terms of how many lineups am I setting on a weekly basis, I probably have my hand in 20 plus leagues. Because there's friends, family that always come to me and say, hey, Andrew, I'm playing in this work league. Hey, Andrew, I'm playing in my friend's league. Who should I start this week? Here you go. Here's the iPhone. Figure it out. And I start making waiver moves and stuff. So, I do play in a lot of leagues. Let's see here. Let's see. What am I got? Okay, cool. I see Hendo as emergency. Yeah, I mean, Chris, that's exactly where they had him last week. He was active, but he didn't touch the ball once because he was an emergency running back just in case something was to happen to Michelle, because after Michelle goes down, they don't have anybody else. I mean, they have ran out of running backs on that Los Angeles Rams team. That's why they're kind of holding their breath, seeing whether or not we can see Cam Akers return in this offseason. D-Money says, cannot believe did that great with an injury. Guess he's not injured. Yeah, I mean, from what we were kind of, I guess, narratively told during that game, it's an injury that, I mean, this is something that I already heard early in the week. This is a shoulder injury that he's already dealt with in the past. I guess it's just pain management at this point. And goodness did he manage it. A couple good shots, and shots as in like literal, 4-inch needles in your arm, and you won't feel the pain anymore. So, those NFL, I guess medic groups, they know what they're doing there. Let's see here. Augusto says, help. I have Hopkins, Jamar, and McLaurin. Which would be the best option as my number one wide receiver? Okay. Number 1 wide receiver, number 2 wide receiver. In regards to this question, I mean, I think your safest play is Hopkins and Jamar, but I just have a feeling that McLaurin just this week for some reason is going to go off. But again, with Hopkins being the number 1 primary option in that offense, he has to start with Jamar, and maybe T. Higgins missing this week, and even Mixon missing, Jamar becomes even better play. So I think you just have to stick with those guys. Unless there's a flex option there, Augusto, I think you have to stick with Jamar and Hopkins. Do you think David Montgomery will play? I anticipate that he will. I mean, I have no clue as to the inside of, how truly devastating his injury is or what the heck he's dealing with, or if it's something that's been bugging him for the last couple of weeks and not just something that has popped up recently. So we'll have to wait and see, how his practice schedule looks tomorrow. If he's limited or potentially full, it'll give us more confidence. But for right now, I do anticipate him playing. We'll see how it goes, though. Let's see here. Traded Diggs for Debo, Hawkinson, and Pittman. Good trade for the playoffs? Yeah, that's a great trade. That's a fantastic trade. Good job. A couple questions got sent in. Ryan Kilpatrick, thank you very much for the donation. Says Elijah Mitchell, Aaron Jones, Javonte start 2. Thank you. I think it's going to be settled for you. I personally think that Elijah Mitchell is probably going to be held out this week, which will most likely lean to you playing Aaron Jones and Javonte Williams, and you're good to go. Now, if in fact we get into a scenario where we do end up seeing Elijah Mitchell playing, my question is then who is playing in your flex, because I want to start all 3. And that would basically be the next step in this conversation. Zimmer did say day-to-day. Yeah, I mean, look, day-to-day, I've heard day-to-day in different scenarios too. I've seen day-to-day and the guy misses 3 weeks, So I guess it depends on the specific coach and the coach's speak per se. Let's see here. Elijah Moore let's see here. D-Money says Eli Moore and McLaurin half PPR. Who would you go with if you had to pick? Probably Elijah Moore. I mean, the Saints secondary, man, they just at times cannot stop a soul. Sometimes they're great against number one wide receivers, but I think Elijah Moore has done enough in the last couple of weeks, has been consistent enough to where he garners our trust. What's better, Dynasty or Redraft? I love Redraft. There's a reason why I play in 13 in comparison to one Dynasty league. I love Best Ball too. Look, here's the thing. I think drafting, though it may seem like a huge part of the game, it is just a portion of it. Like, the team that you draft certainly can help you set yourself up for success, could certainly kill your team. But I think the redraft experience of every year having a new team in the same league is really fun. Now, I do think that like a keeper league where you keep 3 players is perfectly fine. I've played in a couple leagues like that over the last couple years, and they're fantastic. But you have to start on the bottom floor. You have to be there day one. You cannot adopt a team like that, because truly it just doesn't pan out often. But yeah, I love redraft. I am a redraft connoisseur. That is my 101. That's what I do. Let's see here. Braden sends in a question, says flex Edmonds or a waiver guy? If so, who? I mean, I don't know who's on your waivers. If you want to go ahead in the chat, Braden, just tell me who's on your waivers. That would be helpful, because I don't know who's available, and I don't even know if Edmonds is even going to play this week. I know he's designated to return, but he doesn't have to play in this given week despite being designated. They got a 2-week period in which they can bring him back, so there's not a guarantee that he even plays. So let's look at what's on your waivers so we can decide what to set you up with. Let's see here. How does Dynasty work if League picks a new member? Typically, Pearl, what happens, a new member they just adopt a team. So if someone leaves and says, I don't want to play anymore, you just give that team to the new member. All in all, you just give them that team. And sometimes people don't want to pick up those teams because they've, either traded away all their future picks or don't have a good enough roster to find success. I guess those are just like project teams where you can just like kind of build over the next couple of years and not expect to win. But yeah, it's interesting. Terry goes off every third game. Let's hit the like button. Yes, Vincent, I did mention that during my video. He does go off every third game. He plays well, then takes 2 weeks off, plays well, takes 2 weeks off. Maybe this is the week, because it seems like it's that time of the month in which he's going off and having himself a big performance. I mean, last year he played pretty well against Dallas. It's a different defense now, so we got to just be careful with him. Let's see here. Conklin killed me. Should have started Muth. Yeah, man, you got to start the Muth. I talk about it every week. Muth is my guy this year. Muth is probably, there's a lot of great rookies this year, but in terms of ones that came out of absolutely nowhere, it's Muth 1,000%. That has just completely changed the script on rookie tight ends. We thought Kyle Pitts was going to be the guy. It's Pat Freiermuth that just completely is just, wow, taking the league by storm, in my opinion. When it's so hard to find a tight end, especially when you have guys that just get injured and you're not able to, sufficiently fill in that, that position on a weekly basis, getting to pick up a guy like Freiermuth off the waivers and have them start every week and be this effective. I mean, he could have had a second touchdown. If Harrison Smith doesn't come over the top and completely punch that ball out, dude, Freiermuth's a 20-point guy this week, and he just continues on his pace of dominating the league. But I am unfortunate to hear that you played Conklin. Hopefully you'll be able to recover with the rest of your players. Mitchell Garrett says, no question, just wanted to say thanks. I started playing fantasy football a few years ago and have won my first place in each of those years. Wow, congratulations. Finished 9-4 this year and looking good so far with starting Cook. Congratulations, Mitchell Garrett. I'm glad to hear that. Any way that I could help, that's awesome. Congrats. All right. Found your channel the day before the draft. Crammed 7 hours of Andrew's rankings before the draft. Now I'm 10-3. Congratulations, bro. That's awesome. Let's see here. Okay, so I know I was looking for Braden's question. Okay, Braden says, Abdullah is one, Traequan Smith or Penny? Abdullah. Yeah. So I think we wait and see what the waiver report looks like tomorrow. Or not waiver report. The practice report looks like for Chase Edmonds. Let me go see if he actually practiced this week in any capacity. Let's go to the Cardinals injury report. Okay, so let's see here. Is he even on it? No, he's not even on it. So maybe he does play this week. Let me go check my source real quick. All right, so let's go to this website. Let's see if they have anything regarding today. Cardinals have designated running back Chase Edmonds to return from the injured reserve. All right, so this is how NBC Sports Edge has it. Okay, so this is what the report says. The move officially opens Edmonds for a 21-day practice window to be activated from the injured reserve. Again, there's 3 weeks in which he could potentially not end up practicing or end up practicing. So I'm assuming he hasn't even practiced this week. Edmonds has not played since he sprained his ankle. San Francisco week 9. Trending towards being available for Monday night. Again, yeah, it's a long week. So here's your thing. Unless you have another option in the Monday night game, you cannot potentially start him because you need to have someone for that game, right? So unless there's someone else in that game where you can start in your flex, maybe a Rondell Moore, AJ Green, in which you can wait and maybe see if Chase Edmonds ends up playing. Otherwise, you have to probably play someone on Sunday to ensure that you have someone in that flex position actually playing. Because if Chase Edmonds is not activated for Monday and they keep him for week 15, it's going to be unfortunate, but you're going to have to go ahead and potentially start someone on Sunday. That's my suggestion, Braden. Will Lane sends in a donation. Thank you very much. Will says, if Keenan plays, flex Javonte or Keenan Allen. Started Cook, Deontay, and Muth tonight. Yeah, that's a good way to start the week, isn't it? I love Thursday games that pop off. In comparison to Thursday games that just, they killed a week already. That's just brutal. But if Keenan Allen's good to go and Javonte Williams good to go in a half PPR, man, I want to play Javonte, but I think it's just safer to play Keenan Allen. Because Melvin Gordon coming back, he plays against Detroit though. He plays against Detroit. Oh man. I think they're both probably 15 plus points. As much as I want to play Keenan Allen, I think I just want to roll the dice with Javonte Williams and hope he goes for like 25 points. But yeah, we'll figure it out more closely on Sunday morning. Damn, dude, I love both those guys. You know me, guys. I'm an LA guy. Keenan Allen, he's the one. But Javonte, woo. Javonte is a man. I'm already thinking about next year. That's a top 3 round pick. Just absolute fire selection next season, especially when Melvin Gordon is a free agent. Michael sends in a question, says, OBJ or Van Jefferson this week? P.S. Thanks for all the great content, Andrew. Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate the donation. I would suggest Van Jefferson in terms of target share, in terms of snap counts. He's on the field more often. He sees more. Yes, they've both scored touchdowns respectively in each of the last 2 weeks, but I think Van Jefferson is the guy to trust in based on targets alone. As long as the opportunity keeps going in his direction, the ability to make a big play over the top, be able to score down in the red zone, Van Jefferson is kind of filling in that Robert Woods role. WX11 says Heineke or Carr this week. Had Tannehill most of the year. I would, I'm a little worried about Derek Carr. Even though I do like him a lot, I'm worried about because, dude, that Kansas City defense as of late has been killing teams. Right now, I do have Derek Carr ahead of Tannehill ahead of Heineke just by, I think, maybe one spot. But it could end up evening out and having Heineke ahead of him by Sunday. I'm going to say Derek Carr for right now. But I think if he's missing Darren Waller again, I think we just pivot to Heineke. Let's see here. Riley in the chat says Abdullah or JaMychal Hasty. Listen, if JaMychal Hasty is starting and there's no Elijah Mitchell, I will take JaMychal Hasty this week. Let's see here. Mooney, Kirk, Shep feels like a toss-up. To me, if Debo is hurt again this week, what are your thoughts? Okay, Senpai Slayer. So here's the question. Christian Kirk, I don't really trust it. He's a great player, but I don't really trust it considering so many options that they have there. I think Mooney's most likely the best play because we've at least seen a consistency over the past month of the season where he's had great performances. Last week wasn't great, But again, he gets Allen Robinson back. Allen Robinson will play the outside. He'll pull coverage from Jair Alexander, and Mooney will just be able to run free with Justin Fields back in the lineup. We know Fields prefers to throw the ball to Mooney. So that's where I'm going to go with there. Javonte goes for under 10 points this week, says the Citizen. Great. Awesome. All right. P-Man Percy says, okay, yeah. I don't want to talk about the reports, guys. Listen, RIP Demaryius Thomas, but I don't want to talk about, how or what, the cause was. It is unfortunate, and out of the respect of his family, we're not going to be speculating or talking about anything of that nature. If I see it in the chat in regards to, I'll just get rid of it. I don't feel like talking about it because it is such a, I don't want to talk about it. It does not make me feel good, and it's nothing that needs to be spoken about by us. So yeah. What do we got here? Van Jefferson's the drop king. Last year, I heard a lot of conversation about Deontay Johnson being the drop king. And see what happened to him. So being the drop king doesn't really mean much. Just give it a couple years, man. And I think Van Jefferson will be a monster. Just give it some time. Hollywood or Terry? I'd probably go Hollywood there. Devonta Freeman or Ayuk? It depends if Deebo Samuel's playing, Will. If Deebo Samuel's going, I'd probably just go Freeman there. If he's not, I think Ayuk's not a bad option, especially if Elijah Mitchell ends up missing this week. Sony over Chuba. How do you feel about Cooks this week? Listen, Brandon Cooks is up at the mercy of the Seattle secondary and Davis Mills. I'm not feeling too hot about him. I think I got him at number 30 at wide receiver this week. So I'm not feeling too great about him. In terms of Sony over Chuba, it's only if Darrell Henderson misses. If he doesn't miss and Darrell Henderson's active, then it's 100% Chuba Hubbard this week. Let's see here. How do you feel about Devonta Foreman this week? Look, he's going to be the lead back of this team. He's dominated in terms of total touches. And yes, he's splitting, snap share, but that's mainly because when they're in scenarios where they're down and they're trying to come back in games, of course, Dontrell Hilliard has been the better option. But for right now, I'm pretty confident that Foreman is the guy to have in that backfield. And at least in consideration with this week against Jacksonville, how much success Sony Michel found, 120 rushing yards, and was able to blow through that defense. I think Devonta Foreman could have himself a great week here. Van Jefferson or Russell Gage at wide receiver. I think in a half PPR standard, it's Van Jefferson. I think in a full PPR, Russell Gage is most likely the better option there. Need a W to make the playoffs. Cook and Jefferson started off. Skull, thanks for the videos. No problem, Bruce. Let's see here. Chuba or DJ Moore? I guess it's a matter. I think there's a very good chance that Cam Newton steals a touchdown, which scares the living crap out of me. And if that happens, Chuba Hubbard will end up being like an 8-point play while he could have been a 13-point running back. So with that potential risk and Amir Abdullah's presence, I think it's probably safer to go DJ Moore against the Atlanta Falcons. Players on IR don't hit injury report. Yeah. It's not even that he's on IR. He's designated to return to practice. He hasn't even practiced or being designated to return to practice yet. So he's most likely not playing this week, Chase Edmonds. But I appreciate that, by the way. I appreciate that. Thank you. Chuba or Jeff Wilson? I'm probably playing Chuba Hubbard even if Jeff Wilson is the starter, because Jeff Wilson, he himself is dealing with a knee injury that could very easily flare up, and JaMychal Hasty's back in the lineup and ready to go, Pollard or Julio? Pollard is dealing with plantar fasciitis. I know he hurt himself on that 51-yard run against the Saints. He has been limited all week long. He may not even play this weekend. Julio is on the injured reserve designated to return list. I don't think Julio is even going to play this week. So, Will, you might have to find another option outside of both of those guys this week if they are not able to go, unfortunately. Especially in a week that we need a lot of depth. There's so many questionable players, so many injuries this year. It's absolutely crazy. Kingsbury said he expects him to play. Captain, where did you find that? Because I'd like a link to that article and or beat writer that reported that so that I can have that for myself. just so I have, valid information going forward. So if you could tell me what website, don't post the link, just tell me where it was from and I'll go find it myself. Don't worry about it. Hasty or Pirine, again, that's purely up to whether or not those respective running backs are starting. Now, if we're in a scenario in which Mixon's out and Elijah Mitchell is out, I'd rather play Pirine. Hey Chase, I'm sorry to hear that, but hey, listen, I'm glad that I can help in any possible way. Listen, in this world, it's just a matter of enjoying enjoying life, and I'm glad that I could give you some sort of escape and some sort of reassurance that we can have fun on a daily basis here. So I'm glad that I'm helping you out. You're enjoying the channel. If you ever need to talk, just let me know. Just shoot me a DM on Twitter and we can talk. But hey, listen, I'm glad I can help in any given way that I possibly can. Let's see here. Midnight says, do you start any players from tonight's game? Did I start any players? Yeah, let me see here. I have 13 leagues, so yeah, I did. I started Kirk Cousins somewhere. I started Justin Jefferson on a team. I started Najee Harris on a team. I started Osborne and Deontay on one team. I started Conklin, unfortunately. I have a lot of shares of Pat Freiermuth. My goodness, you guys wouldn't understand. I literally almost have him everywhere. Even as backup tight end to Kittle, I was able to pick him up and kind of ride the wave of him throughout those weeks. So, yeah. Cam Newton or Garoppolo? I probably play Jimmy G, man. Cam Newton is so sketchy, man. I would hope that he would be a great play, but I don't know what he's going to do, man. Like, I don't know what Cam Newton we're going to see this week. That's just so tough. What's up, Andrew? Would you start Mclaren or Lockett? Probably Lockett. Lockett's just been more consistent. And it is, dude, just me saying that sentence, Lockett has been more consistent. Can you imagine a reality in which that's where we live? Where we live in a situation where Tyler Lockett is more consistent than other wide receivers? How did we get here? How did we come to this position? It's crazy. It is. And that's why I love fantasy football, because it is unpredictable in every sort of facet. As much research as I possibly do, it doesn't matter, because it is up to the players. It's up to the defense. It's up to the coordinators. It's up to the health of a player. It's up to a multitude of variables that we have literally no control over, but we like to think that we do. And it gives us some reassurance in that regard. But either way, the most unlikely of all things, Tyler Lockett and consistency in the same question, in the same sentence, because the only time I have ever said consistent and Tyler Lockett in the same sentence is that Tyler Lockett is the most inconsistent or consistently inconsistent wide receiver in the NFL. Crazy, huh? Anyway, let's see here. Taysom Hill or Herbert? Again, if Herbert doesn't have his studs, if he ain't got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, then we can go ahead and we can rotate. We can pivot. Hey, Andrew, if it rains in New York, do you start Cam or Taysom? Dude, I'm going to be totally honest. Taysom's going to run the rock. So I'm still firing him up. I was wrong. He said... He said ready for sure by the Detroit game. Okay, got it. No problem, Captain. Listen, that's why I wanted to see, because I had not heard anything. And I usually get all of the information funneled to my phone. And the fact that I hadn't seen Cliff Kingsbury say that, I was so surprised. I was like, wait, what? So, yeah, no problem. We're chilling. Michelle or Gordon? Again, it's a matter of Darrell Henderson. If Darrell Henderson's active, then we don't want to play Michelle. But if Michelle is good to go and there's no Darrell Henderson, by all means, I want the starting running back of the Rams in my backfield for sure and in my starting lineup. Tua or Garoppolo rest of the season? Dude, they've got, I think they've got both great schedules. If I had to pick one purely, I think I like Tua rest of the season. Tua's been playing fantastic, 80+ passing completion percentage for each of the last 3 games. On top of the fact that hopefully Devontae Parker, maybe even Will Fuller wants to show up this year. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Have anybody heard anything about Will Fuller in the last couple weeks? I know he broke his finger, but the dude's been AWOL, completely missing. Crazy. They spent so much money on a 1-year deal with this man, and he's just like, I'm not going to show up anymore. It's crazy. But either way, I think I'm going to take 2 rest season. mainly because how much of that 49ers offense is predicated on running the ball and getting rushing touchdowns. Boom. All right, we're going to go ahead, and that is just inappropriate, so that needs to go. Ayuk only 3 receptions without Debo. I know. It mainly has to do with the fact that George Kittle had 8 catches for 181 and 2 touchdowns. Everyone was an afterthought in that offense. So, yeah, that was insanity. If Elijah Mitchell is playing, rolling with him or Devonta Foreman. Oh, if Elijah Mitchell's going, I'm for sure on him, ready to go. Hannah Tran says, which website do you use for football news? Okay, so I'd say there's a variety, right? So there's Twitter, right, which I don't tweet anything, but I use it mainly for absorbing information in regards to the main, like, trio of information guys, like the Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, Tom Pelissaro, all these kind of insiders within, NFL Network, all those kind of guys. I always follow them. But then I have a bunch of beat writers for each team in which I follow them. And they're always, tweeting stuff about practice, whether someone played or practiced or not, all that kind of stuff, the injury news that they are able to kind of dig up in all that kind of regard. So I follow all those. Otherwise, Roto World, NBC Sports Edge, they always got updated information. I have the Sleeper app on my phone as well. There's a bunch of stuff that's out there to everyone to go ahead and pick up and find information. But those are just some of them. Okay, so okay, so let's see here. Traequan Smith reliable starter this weekend, or should I start Reynolds from the Lions? Honestly, I'd rather play Reynolds. I currently have Reynolds, Guillermo, ahead of Traequan this weekend in my rankings. I had Fuller on my IR all year and dropped him last week. Yeah, it's crazy. Yo Mama says DK or Michelle if Hendy sits out. If Henderson sits out, I'd rather play Michelle. Boom. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, Metcalf or Renfro? I think Metcalf can have a huge game. Currently, I have Metcalf higher in my rankings. If you go check it out from Wednesday's video, Alberto, I currently have Metcalf, I think 1 spot or 2 spots ahead of Renfro. Camaro, and okay, so this is Derek Lewis. He says, Camaro, Mixon, my running backs, DK McLaurin as my wide receivers, and my flexes, Jamal Williams or OBJ. I think it depends on your scoring format. I think either way, I'm gonna lean with Jamal Williams there. I just like starting running backs more in my flex. Let's see here. Raw says, are you thinking about starting a Discord channel? Bro, I already have a Discord channel, and it is with a bunch of people in there. If you haven't checked it out, I'm fairly certain that I have a link down in my description of every video that I've ever posted. I have an open Discord channel. I think there's like 3,000 or 4,000 active members in there that post every single day and keep the conversation going. Yeah, it's literally in the link in my description. So if you want to check that out, you can. I post a lot of stuff. Well, I sometimes post a lot of stuff there. Again, there's a lot of stuff to go through, and there's a lot of questions that I got to answer throughout the week, but I try to help as much as I can there sparingly, but to the best of my ability with so many people in there. Been playing the new Halo, I see. What does that mean? I mean, I've played Halo. I played ranked. I'm Diamond 2, but I haven't played in a while. The unfortunate nature of having the fantasy football season is that anything that happens during the season, I cannot attend to. So, like, literally, it is just purely my 1,000% focus. I cannot, there's not enough time in the day to play video games anymore, unfortunately. But hey, in the off season, I'll have my fair share. But it's all PvP. It's not, I'm not going to play the campaign. I'm past that at this point. Let's see here, Tua or Joe Burrow rest of the season. I mean, I probably say Joe Burrow because of the explosivity of the offense. But again, it depends on how that finger is going to look in a couple weeks here. But for right now, I'd say Burrow. No more Alexander Madison for me. You think Michael Carter will be decent flex in week 15? They play against Miami, right? Miami's been the best run-stopping defense in the last 6 weeks. I'm worried about Michael Carter coming off of the IR and immediately being shoved in this offense, especially considering Zach Wilson doesn't throw to running back. So I think he'll be decent. I just don't think he's going to be top 24 status. It's going to be tough to convince me of that. Should I start Zeke or Javonte Williams? I'd play Javonte. I mean, right now I've moved Zeke up a pretty sizable amount because Tony Pollard may not play this week, but I mean, I think Javonte is just next level. Hey, Andrew, can I start Higgins over Diggs or Lamb? I probably say no, mainly because Higgins is also dealing with an ankle injury that may have him slow down a little bit here. So I'm thinking you most likely are in a scenario where you just start your studs, play Diggs, play Lamb. They both got great matchups. Let's see here. Ryan Kilpatrick says, drop a like, people. Yeah, guys, if you guys could, we have 84 likes, about 200 of you in here. I'd greatly appreciate it if you guys could click the like button down below. Certainly does help out a lot. Though it may seem like an insignificant gesture, it just shows as much appreciation as anything else. So I do appreciate you guys clicking that. It does help support the channel and grow everything that we're doing here on a yearly basis. Let's see here. A couple more questions. Hilliard, Hasty, or Crowder? I mean, at this point, again, a lot of these questions, guys, are going to be answered by Sunday morning. So, again, like I'll continue to remind you guys, Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on the channel. I always live stream. I will have updated rankings at the running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end position that will exclude anybody who played today, and it'll be ready to go. So we'll have a better indication as to what is going on later in the week, but we'll figure it out. Hey, Andrew, started using Underdog Fantasy because of you. Do you have 3 guaranteed players for an over-under? Thanks for everything, by the way. To be honest, guaranteed, no. If I had a guarantee, I would be shouting it from the rooftops, trying to help you guys win as much money as possible. But as I have learned, unfortunately, the over-under is extremely difficult. Now, for me, that may be the case. In the same vein, I have seen people tweet at me. They get a 5-leg parlay. They made a $20 bet. They turned that. They turned that into $400. But I was like, what is going on? Like, why couldn't you tell me before you put in that pick'em slip that I could get in on that? And so a lot of people have found some I guess ease of play in there. I myself typically go ahead and I suggest a couple. During my Hidden Gems video, I think I was 3 out of 4 on one of them last week. I like the rivals, the head-to-head players. Those are typically the better ones of the group that are pretty fun to go after. But either way, pick'ems, it's a tough game. I usually like to just draft teams and see how they play, because that's typically what I do, right? It's just drafting teams and playing, which has always been fun. Amon-Ra St. Brown or Emmanuel Sanders or Julio, need to. I probably play Amon-Ra and Julio like I have in my video ahead of Emmanuel Sanders. Julio top 10. I would love to see that. Don't even get me wrong. I'd love to see that. How do you feel about the Eagles defense weeks 14, 15, and 17? Good matchups, but still confident, ? Yeah, I'm confident. I think they've got a great defense. They've been playing incredibly as of late in comparison to what they looked like earlier this year. The fact that they lost Brandon Graham early in the season, they were still able to kind of pick up the pieces and continue in playing well. It's great. Vince Jordan, thank you very much. Nice seeing you. I'll see you on Sunday. Have a good one. Kamara is going for 6 touchdowns again. Ray Lars, if that happens, that would be incredible. I doubt it because Taysom Hill is there, but we'll wait and see. Remember, Taysom Hill was the difference maker of Kamara setting the record of the NFL of the most touchdowns in a singular game. If you guys don't remember, I think it was late in that fourth quarter, Taysom Hill had a rushing touchdown for no apparent reason. Sean Payton just had to do it because it is what it is. What's your Discord channel? My Discord channel is down in the description of the video. So if you scroll down, it just says Discord, and then there's a link there. So if you have Discord on your desktop, you can click that and join, and you're good to go. Andrew K, is the Adam Schefter of fantasy football advice? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't know if that's a compliment. I'm going to assume that is because Adam Schefter is who he is. So I appreciate that. Thank you. I had Najee Harris and Cook tonight. That is just incredible, Kyle. Congrats. Seattle and Eagles defense rest of season. I'd probably go Eagles there. If they all play Julio, Odell, or Higgins, I play Higgins there. He's just been fantastic as of late. Taysom couldn't help himself. LOL. Yeah, he really couldn't. Voice and Visions, he couldn't. Who else played KJ? I did. I played KJ Osborne. Let me go find it. Let's see here. How many points did he have? I think he had like 15.8 and a half PPR. I mean, I'm still projected to lose this week. So I'm sitting in a super flex league here that I'm looking at. I had Deontay Johnson go for 12.8. I had KJ Osborne go for 15.8. And my opponent had 13 points from Greg Joseph. Okay, could have been more. Luckily, he missed a couple PATs and field goals. But I'm still projected to lose 150 to 161. What the F, man? How am I projected to lose so badly? Oh, you know why? Because I have Sony Michel sitting in my flex, and I don't know if he's going to play or Daryl. Okay, the projection's low. I don't really care about projection. Moving on. Hit the sub, everyone. Best fantasy advice. Thank you very much, Evan. I'm pretty sure everyone who types in this channel is subbed because I think I have it on where you have to be a sub to type, because I always get some people in here coming and spamming garbage, and so I just wanted to separate it. Would you be worried about Elijah Moore? Should I be worried about Elijah Moore? I mean, I don't think you should be worried about him. I think he's done enough to gain our trust, but yeah, you could be if you want to. I don't know. Will Montgomery or J-Rob be a good start? I think Montgomery's probably the better start. J-Rob, if he's at a full capacity on Friday, I think could gain my trust, but I guess it's a matter of who's healthy. Purely there, Justin. Let's see here. Chuba or Gibson? I'd play Gibson this week, Abe. Gibson's a stud. When Titans are healthy and play the Patriots in the playoffs, Titans will win. If Derrick Henry's there, I agree. If Derrick Henry's not there, then it's a different conversation, right? But yeah, we're assuming healthy is all across the board. Offensive line, wide receivers, Derrick Henry, etc. And if that's the case, then yes, I agree. Okay, so what I wanted to do really quickly before we close out today's stream, of course, I'll continue to be answering questions here as much as I possibly can, but I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to travel over to Underdog and draft a couple teams here for Sunday, just to kind of give you guys a feel for those of you who may be interested, haven't pulled the proverbial trigger yet, and haven't jumped in per se. Just want to kind of give you guys an idea as to what exactly the contest that I've been participating in, and at least I myself have found a lot of success in as of late, in terms of like ranking amongst the top in the league. Vic84 says, "Good evening, Andy. Don't think Debo will play. Should I start Hopkins or T. Higgins? Right now, I have Hopkins as my number 12 wide receiver in a half PPR. Higgins is my number 13. So hopefully that gives you an idea. But yeah, so I don't expect Debo to play either. So that's my suggestion. Matthew says, Pat Mahomes or Taysom Hill in a must-win game. I mean, listen, Pat Mahomes has played very well against the Raiders in the past. I don't think that Raiders defense has changed very much in the last couple weeks. So I'm pretty sure I'm going Pat Mahomes. Taysom or Stafford? I currently have Stafford one ahead of Taysom. Again, guys, I posted a video earlier today, quarterback and tight end rankings, top 16 in each position. If you haven't checked that out, go ahead. There are timestamps at the bottom of every video. So if you're looking for specific players, you can find that. Just trying to help you out as much as I possibly can in that regard. Okay, really quickly, just got to set up my second monitor here. So we're good to go. So let's go ahead. The ball is going to be coming towards the screen. Do not be afraid. You'll be fine. All right, so let's go ahead and really quickly, just want to move my camera. All right, so we're here at Underdog, right? And there's typically a Sunday contest every Sunday where you go ahead and you draft players in the morning/afternoon slate. You draft against 5 other players. You're able to put together a team of 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex, and compete against everybody else. $5 buy-in. Total prizes are on the bottom if you're able to at least rank amongst the best. I mean, there's some big money up for grabs. So let's go ahead. Let's hop into one of these. And let me show you guys what I've been doing as of late in terms of drafting. I draft like a couple of these every week for sure, because I always want to have a diverse kind of group of players. But this is what we're going to go ahead and do real quick. Just want to move myself to the middle of the screen. While we're waiting for this draft to go, I, of course, will be answering questions in the chat. Again, use promo code Andrew at underdogfantasy.com. It not only will get you the ability to have Underdog match your first deposit up to $100, but it would support me and the channel out a great amount. So I do appreciate for those of you who end up doing that. All right, so a question, or let's see here. Pukes2X says, Landry, Ayuk, Foreman, Hunt, PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, 1 flex. I also have Mike Williams. And if he plays, who do I sit? Okay, so let's talk about this. In regards to who you're playing this week, at your RB1, I'm probably playing Hunt. At your wide receiver 1, if Mike Williams plays, he's in that position. Otherwise, you're playing... Okay, so there's a lot of things here, Pukes. And I know you're always here on Sunday mornings, and it'll definitely probably be a situation where we'll have a better idea by Sunday, because we don't know if Keenan Allen's playing. We don't know if Deebo Samuel for sure is playing. We don't know a lot of things that are potentially going to come about. So for right now, I'll just preemptively and probably prematurely say, let's go Hunt, Mike Williams, and Ayuk at the flex, okay? Because my anticipation is that Mike Williams plays. You go Hunt at running back, Ayuk in the flex. If Deebo does play, then we'll go Landry in the flex. If Mike Williams doesn't play, you put Ayuk at wide receiver, and you just fill accordingly. So basically, I'm trying to do everything to not play Devonta Foreman. Though I do like him, I just think there's a possibility that we could be in a situation where maybe Dontrell Hilliard pops off, steals a touchdown again, and leaves us with only 10 points. All right, so as you can see on screen, we are the 4th pick out of 6 possible teams here. We're trying to put together a roster, like I've said right over here, of 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, and a singular flex, 1 running back, wide receiver, or tight end specifically. My current strategy is probably going with a running back of, an Alvin Kamara or Antonio Gibson nature. But to be honest, I wouldn't mind grabbing one of these stud wide receivers if they fall to me. Let's see here. Let's go to the chat. Voice and Visions says I flinched. Yeah, that ball animation, some people have told me that it actually scares them. Alvin Kamara is also sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. I think he's not even just a sponsor. I think he might be an actual investor for all I know. But yeah, listen, AK41 is he's a stud for a reason. And if I can, I'm drafting him in this draft. Saquon, CEH, or Swift. I don't see Swift playing this week, so I think it's between Saquon and CEH. George, which I'm gonna suggest Clyde Edwards this week. Bench 1, Renfro, Jefferson, Gage, MVS. I'm probably benching MVS because he has a very high, volatility rate. He, even though he's getting 19 targets in the last 2 games, the fact that he's only been able to convert 50% of those total targets to actual receptions is unfortunate. So kind of leans me in the direction of for sure going with a more solid wide receiver like Van Jefferson, Renfro, and Gage. Man, if Austin Eckler wants to fall to me, I'd be in a great position. But of course, immediately as I say it, he gets drafted. But hey, it is what it is. So usually in these drafts, I like to do crazy things, as in, sometimes I just take running backs that are not typically in my top rankings, just okay, I'm taking Alvin Kamara. He's my number 1 on the week. I would be kind of an idiot not to do that for right now. All right, Guillermo sends in a question. Thank you very much for the donation, Guillermo. I appreciate it. It says, play Mitchell instead of CEH if Mitchell is in. Yes, the answer is yes. I think I answered your question a little bit earlier. You may have missed it, but yes, I said I would play Mitchell instead of CEH if he plays. Carr, Tannehill, Garoppolo rest of season. MVS or Boyd this week. I would play MVS over Boyd. As for Carr, Garoppolo, or Tannehill, I think Garoppolo has the easiest schedule, and with Tannehill not, getting back AJ Brown or Julio Jones or Derrick Henry anytime soon, Tannehill's pretty much out of the conversation. So it's between Carr and Garoppolo. I think I'm going to play Jimmy G rest season there. Look at that. Javonte Williams, Antonio Gibson, George Kittle coming off the board really quickly. Whew. I am up on the clock next. I might go with Travis Kelce here. Wide receiver has a lot of depth, and I'm thinking of just waiting and grabbing some potential kind of crazy players, as in lower valued guys that may have insane upside. Man, Gronk has been a monster as of late. I mean, Mark Andrews is almost a guarantee at the position. I'm going to go Travis Kelce, though. I think he'll get back on track. 4 points last week is a little bit of a downslide there. Let's see here. P-Man Percy says, I had a slip that Jefferson would go for over 100 yards and a touchdown for plus 400. Had him having 67 and a touchdown in the first half. Pain. Yeah, that is unfortunate. He disappeared. A lot of double coverage. Safety over the top. Definitely did force Kirk Cousins to air it out in a separate direction. I mean, prior to that late fourth quarter touchdown to KJ Osborne, I think they had 1 passing yard in the second half in the entire third quarter. So yeah, they were just trying to kill clock and get out of that game because they knew that there was a potential of them getting caught in that scenario. Mike Evans or T. Higgins this week? AV, I would go with Mike Evans this week. That's where I would go with. A lot of people grabbing running back. Typically when I do these drafts, people just kind of wait on running back, and that's where kind of I'm sitting in the position of I don't know if I want to grab another running back. I think I might go 3 wide receivers with this draft, and just try to have as much upside as possible in that regard. Alex says Hilliard, Sony Michel, Jeff Wilson, Darrell Williams, half PPR. Again, Alec, it's purely going to depend on whether or not Darrell Henderson plays. If Darrell Henderson doesn't go, then Sony Michel is obviously the front runner. If he does play, then it's a question of whether or not Elijah Mitchell's going for Jeff Wilson's case. And if that ends up happening, then of course you'd probably play Dontrell Hilliard over Darrell Williams. All right, I'm next on the clock here. Wide receivers, we have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jamar Chase. Cordero Patterson came off the board, which is probably where I was going to go initially. But now that we're sitting in this scenario, there's great wide receivers available here. Again, like I was just mentioning, I want to do some crazy things at wide receiver, which is why I'm taking DK Metcalf. It may seem insane to go DK, but dude, if I'm able to get him in my 3rd round, I know he's coming off of terrible performances, but if this is the week where he goes for that 20 bomb, then it's going to set me up for success in comparison to a lot of other teams, because a lot of other teams may not have DK Metcalf. He may not see a wide majority of shares in these respective drafts when I'm competing against thousands of other people. So we're going to give it a shot here. We're going to see how it goes. When it comes back to me, I'm probably going to go wide receiver once again, or quarterback if my number one's still sitting there with Kyler. Ricky Seals or Tyler Higbee. I currently have Tyler Higbee ahead of Ricky Seals, mainly because Ricky Seals-Jones missed the last 3 weeks with injury. And there's a possibility that he may be limited to a capacity. Did someone already take Kyler? Wait, where's Kyler in this list? Am I bugging? What? Oh, he plays on Monday. That's why he's not here. I was about to say, okay, in that regard, give me Josh Allen. Let's go. We're going to air it out a little bit there. All righty. Okay, so a couple more questions. Let's see here. Start Ayuk or Terry. I'd play Terry McLaurin this week. Is Carlos Hyde worth a roster spot if J-Rob goes down? Absolutely. I believe he is. Again, they play against the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 16. Week 16, if I'm not mistaken. That could be a fantastic play for him. What's up, Ronald? How you doing? Hope you're doing well, my guy. All right, so currently, I've got Alvin Kamara as my first pick, Travis Kelce second pick, DK Metcalf third, Josh Allen fourth for this week in this respective draft. I have 2 more selections left. It could be a running back, wide receiver, or a tight end. Honestly, I'm of the opinion that if I can get Gronk or Mark Andrews this week, I don't mind it. I don't mind running them as a flex option along with a wide receiver or a running back. So I'm kind of leaning in that direction. I know Josh Jacobs has played incredibly as of late. Look at this. 18.2, 19.5 in the last couple games. Having those kind of performances are just, whew. I mean, we could put together, if he ends up popping off for a great game here against Kansas City, we're in a good spot. But, man, Kansas City's defense has looked great. They couldn't stop Javonte Williams, though. He went for over 100 on the ground. Maybe, Josh Jacobs is going to get himself established. I think that's where I go. If it comes down to me and Josh Jacobs is available, I think I'm going to, position myself in that direction where I'll just grab my second running. Oh, there goes Mark Andrews right in front of me, dude. Dang it. I wanted Mark Andrews or Gronk potentially. I had a feeling in my soul that it would end up going that way. Either way, I'll have to draft another team to see if I can grab one of them along with a Kelce and see what I could put together as a team. Okay, so it's my pick. I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. We're going to hope that he can run over Kansas City's defense this week and continue his streak of games. Jefferson should have had 4 touchdowns. I know he dropped that one in the end zone in the first quarter. I was sick to my stomach because in that league where I have Justin Jefferson, I need major points to really clinch this number 1 seed in that league. But, man, he could have really had himself a monster game there. What am I looking for here? Where's my final pick? Okay, so I'm looking for a wide receiver or a tight end. Tight end is pretty much a wash at this point, so we're going wide receiver. If Terry McLaurin's there, I'm taking him. Please give me Terry McLaurin. I don't mind the out-of-the-box pick here. Yeah, give me Terry McLaurin. If not, perfect. We'll take Terry McLaurin. Again, when you're playing in these kind of leagues, especially when it's like everyone's competing. There's like, I don't know. There's like 5,000 entries in a singular week. When there's that many teams, you have to diversify as much as possible. And though it may not seem like the greatest idea, I'm living and dying by these wide receivers because Kelce, Kamara, Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, they should be doing what they do on a weekly basis on a pretty consistent rate. If they're not able to, then of course we figure it out and hopefully those wide receivers can carry. Okay, really quickly. A couple people were asking if there's any quote-unquote guarantees for pick'ems this week. Let me see here. Is there any quote-unquote guarantees available? I'm going to roll through this. If anything kind of looks interesting, I'll let you know. Otherwise, we're moving on. Again, if you guys haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy, there's a link down in the description. If you use promo code Andrew, Underdog Fantasy is willing to match up to $100 of your first deposit. Pretty good opportunity there for those of you interested. I think Jarvis Landry over 60 yards is a pretty good one. Mainly because the last time he played against this defense in Week 12 had over 100 yards. I think Zeke over 44.5 yards is an over. It would be very difficult for me to actually see Zeke go for less yards, specifically because Tony Pollard is injured. So that's not a bad one either. What else is a monster? I don't mind. I think Patrick Mahomes is very easily going to clear that number. I don't really trust that secondary. There's not a lot of pick'ems up right now. I guess when we get to Friday, once the injury report is official, they'll start putting in more. I love Jerry Jeudy at 52 yards plus. That's not a bad one at all. Actually, you know what? While we're at it, you know what? Give me a second here. I'm just, really quickly. You know what? Let's just go these three. Just real quick. Just a $5 sprinkle. Okay, that's all we want to do. Just leave it at those numbers. Anyway, outside of that, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's some stuff down here also. That's not bad. Over 95 yards all purpose. You could go the NBA route, guys. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys watch the NBA consistently, but, there's some things that you can definitely pull off via Underdog Fantasy and come away with some money if you guys are interested. All right. I'm going to answer a couple more questions. We'll close out the live stream in a bit here. But for right now, a couple things I wanted to mention. Let's see here. A couple questions that were sent in. Okay, RIP Demaryius Thomas. Yes, we've talked about that earlier. It's extremely unfortunate. We just got to appreciate the time that we have. And don't take any day for granted. That's basically what we got to learn. And continue to go ahead and strive to get better in life, guys. Voice and Vision sends, have you thought of adding a running ticker behind you that reminds people of your rankings are updated? Half PPR on Sundays. Seems like a lot of people ask. Yeah, so I, for the first 8 weeks of the season, had a ticker on the top that said updated rankings, and then the morning of, like that date, I would put like, I don't know, like let's say for example it was today, it would be like updated rankings 12/09/2021. And still people were asking me if they were updated rankings. So I said, whatever, I'm gonna get rid of it because no one wants to read, and we'll leave it as such. So yeah, I mean, I've done it for the last couple of years. People still ask. So, people are gonna ask because they don't know. And as much as I talk about it, it'll just go over their heads because they come in at the wrong time or they miss something here and there. It is what it is. I'm okay with it. Thoughts on Debo this week? Emil, I don't think he's gonna play. So unfortunately, we'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow in practice. Alex says, how confident are you? How much confidence do you have in Jalen Guyton with or without Mike Williams? I lost Keenan Allen and it hurts. I have to play him. No, listen, I think Jalen Guyton is a great play, especially considering they play against the Giants. Should be, an automatic plug and play there if Keenan Allen's out. Cordero or Gibson, McKissick is probably going to play. I mean, I'm still playing Gibson. Gibson in the last 2 weeks has had 25 plus touches each game. I don't think McKissick comes in and really affects him in that regard. Sure, McKissick could steal touchdowns, but in terms of the receiving work, I think that is, as we've seen going back to that Seattle game, whether or not McKissick is in the lineup, that is going to maintain a priority for Gibson going forward. Sonny Michel or Jeff Wilson, I mean, again, those are questions in regards to whether or not the respective starter for those teams, Mitchell and Henderson, are playing. We'll know by Sunday morning for sure. Again, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Kickoff with Kirchhoff will be here trying to help you guys out. Deontay dropped 3 in the end zone. Yeah, listen, there's a lot of people that drop passes today. And coulda, woulda, shoulda. I would love to have had those back, and I'm sure they would as well. But, that's just the nature of the beast. That's why typically during the week when I talk about players, I try not to I watch a lot of film. And what I try not to do is be like, hey, this person could have scored a touchdown last week, because yes, they could have, but they ended up not doing so. And all that pretty much does for you is just pain. If you hear, like, let's say, for example, you didn't watch, I don't know, let's throw out a player. You didn't watch Jamar Chase play last week, and I told you, hey, Jamar Chase dropped 3 touchdowns in the end zone. You would probably throw up not knowing that was the case prior to them, because you'd be like, dude, what the heck? Jamar Chase is a bum now, right? So I just try to avoid even telling you guys some of these things, because yes, red zone targets are valuable, but I also want to save you from hurting, because some of these players will hurt you, most definitely, unfortunately. Cam Newton doesn't crack your quarterback rankings versus the Falcons. Nah, Cam Newton has pretty much betrayed all of my trust. DK or Hollywood in the flex, I'd play DK. What do you think about Debo? I don't expect him to play. T. Higgins or James Robinson? Most likely play T. Higgins because I'm not sure about James Robinson's health this week. Really, Terry, would you play Terry or would you play Elijah Moore or Hunter Renfro over Terry this week? In a half PPR scoring format, I think the safer play is to 1,000% play Elijah Moore and Hunter Renfro. The reason why I just drafted Terry McLaurin in that draft is because I anticipate him to have a higher upside than these other guys. Because when Terry McLaurin goes off, he always goes for 100 yards and a touchdown and 20 plus fantasy points. So when I'm trying to play in a contest where it's who scores the most points in a given week based on all the different teams, I have to try to go for the biggest upside. That's why I took him. Okay. Listen, once again, guys, I want to reiterate, I cannot thank you guys enough for supporting the channel with your viewership, by clicking the like button, by sending in donations, by signing up at Underdog using promo code Andrew. Regardless of what you guys do, I appreciate that support every single day. I cannot thank you guys enough. The train moves on and the show goes on. We will be back probably Saturday with Hidden Gems, Sunday morning with the live stream, back to the Monday, slate regular as usual with Waiver Wire, beginning the fantasy playoffs, getting us ready. We'll be good to go. It should be fun. I do appreciate you guys coming by. I got to go, take care of a couple things, take care of a couple content features here and there. I got to be working on some stuff, but either way, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to answer a couple more questions here, and at 10:25, about 7 minutes from now, we're going to bow out. Okay, so here we go. A couple more questions came in here. Would you play Guyton or Gage if Keenan can't clear? If Keenan can't clear, if you're playing in a half PPR, I'd play Guyton. If you're in a full PPR, I think I'm going to go with Gage. Should I pick up Wilson Jr.? Ozzy, I would say yes. You could pick up Wilson Jr. or JaMycal Hasty. I think JaMycal Hasty might be the starter this week because Jeff Wilson is dealing with an injury. He has a little bit of an inflammation or inflammatory issue with his knee, the surgically repaired one from this offseason. So it could be JaMycal Hasty if he's available there. Ozzy. Champs SC says Andrew, Michelle, or Jeff Wilson in the flex. Again, it really does depend on who's healthy. I don't know if Darrell Henderson's playing. I don't know if Mitchell's playing. If neither play, I'm playing Sony Michel purely, 100%. Saquon, Monty, or Darrell Henderson. Again, I don't know if Darrell Henderson's going to play this week, but out of those group of players, I don't even know if David Montgomery is going to play this week. Again, it's relatively early. That's why I typically don't like to stream on Thursday, guys, because I don't want to give you information that you may, hold until Sunday and then not try to get an update on Sunday, because it truly does matter on Sunday morning as to what the heck is going on. And even by then, sometimes we don't know. But for right now, I'd say Monty's probably the inside, he's probably in the number one seed in that, trio. Let's see here. Sony for me, I don't trust. Yeah, I agree. Thanks for these late live streams. Appreciate it. No problem, Voice and Visions. I appreciate you guys being here. If Mitchell is hurt, sit him. If not, Monty. I mean, if Mitchell's hurt, you don't want to play him. And yes, you would opt to David Montgomery. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. Half PPR, would you flex Montgomery or Knox? I play Montgomery 100%. If he's healthy and he's going, he's in my lineup. Andrew Clark says Hunt, Pollard, or Mooney. I don't know if Pollard's even going to be healthy, so it's between Mooney and Hunt in a full PPR, which then I would just go ahead and pivot to Mooney. Okay. I got 5 minutes left in me, just to answer questions. So if you've got any questions, let me know. I know there's a couple here that I may have skipped. I apologize. Just retype it in the chat, and I'll try to get to it. Either way, we should be good to go, guys. Oh, man. What day is it today? It's December 9th. Man, this season has came by so quickly. I legitimately, I remember it was just August 1st. It literally was just August 1st, and I had just posted my first video, and I was already stressing. And the stress hasn't subsided. It still exists every single day. There's a reason why I'm already bald at the age of 26. But, that's a different conversation. But yeah, I'm here. I appreciate you guys. I don't really see anybody else typing anything. Okay, here we go. Should I start Tyreek Hill to get Jamar Chase or CeeDee Lamb? Should I trade Tyreek Hill to get Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb? Ooh, I don't mind that, to be honest. I don't mind that, especially the way that Patrick Mahomes is playing. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb rest of the season. Thoughts on Amari Cooper reliability against Washington? He should be at a full capacity. Last week, let me go ahead and find the stat just so we're all on the same page. Last week, in terms of snap counts, I don't know if you guys have links to this, but I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat just so we're all on the same page. The Football Guys website has a great link in terms of snap counts. If you guys want to check that out, they also have game logs, game log against, season stats. So if you go to the game, specifically if you go to snap counts, you go to Dallas last week, and we go to the wide receiver position. CeeDee Lamb played 89% of the snaps. Michael Gallup played 91%, and Amari Cooper played 34%. Typically, Michael Gallup plays, 88, 86% of the snaps. So he's going to get back on track. It was just a matter of he did miss a couple weeks there, with COVID. So figuring that out. You're 26. Yeah. That's right, baby. 1995. Let's go. Andrew, does Josh Jacobs go nuclear versus the Chiefs? Drake's out rest of the season. I'm hoping that's the case, especially considering, he's going to get a lot of that receiving work with, of course, Jalen Richard also out on the injured reserve. KJ Osborne, exclamation points. That's right. Let's go, baby. Had himself a great game there. Packers or Chiefs defense this week? I'll take Packers. Cake or pie? Cake. Did you get your Christmas shopping done? What does that even mean? Christmas shopping. Have I got it done? No. Nobody gets it done this early. Do people get it done this early? I think it's only fair to have it more of a stressful situation because that's how it's supposed to be, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Brady or Carr? We're playing Brady this week, my guy. Shen, I'd play Brady. Carr or Brady? I'm playing. Yeah. Same thing. Brady or Carr Brady. It's the same question, my guy. Cool link. I like how you guys all work together. Use each other's posts. I mean, yeah, I don't mind shouting out another company or listen. Here's the fact about fantasy football. What website do you use to check injuries? There's 32 of them. And they're on the team's websites. So I go to, let's say, for example, I'm going to drop a link real quick, okay? If you go to my Discord, I have all this information in a singular channel where I have all the links that I use. But let's say you don't use Discord, okay? Let's say, for example, we're going to use the 49ers this week. Oh, crap. I made a mistake. Damn it. Give me a second, guys. Okay, cool. Here we go. So let's say, for example, we want to talk about the 49ers. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to post this in the chat just so we're all aware. So that's the injury report. Every team has to legally report who practiced and who didn't, right? And what was the issue. Now, of course, there's more details, by, actual doctors that you can go and find. But this is mainly what you use to figure out, okay, who the F ended up practicing. It says Elijah Mitchell did not participate Wednesday or Thursday. In the same vein, neither did Deebo Samuel. There's things like this you have to keep an eye on. Jeff Wilson, full participant today, despite the knee injury. Could have himself a potential of playing this, all this kind of stuff. Okay, either way, it's 10:25. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for coming by. Mikey, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad I've been able. Hello? My internet. Are we good? Am I back? I don't even know if I am. I think I'm back. Okay, anyway. I think that was a sign from the fantasy gods. My internet was strike down, and I appreciate it. We're good now? Okay, cool. And then now I'm going to go ahead and give you all a salute. I'll say thank you very much. Jingle All the Way, that's a great movie. And, that situation I'm quite fond of, so that's awesome. All right, I'm going. See you guys. Appreciate it. Until Sunday, or actually, Sunday morning live stream. We'll see you guys later. Peace.